gamers? Today on Dice and Dragons we are going to be reviewing our first Codenames game. And for those of you that are familiar with the series, as always it is designed by Vlada Schwartzel and it is published by Czech Games Edition, but in this case it's also been published by USAopoly, who own the license for Harry Potter. Now if you're familiar with Codenames, this one is based on Codenames Duet. And then I'll toss it over to Julie now, and she'll tell you a little bit more about the game. And then for those of you that don't know Codenames, I'll explain a little bit about how you play the game.
So it's for 2 or more players because you're playing, as Jason said, it's a cooperative version. It's duets. So you're playing in 2 teams to help each other out.
Well, more partners this time in this case.
Partners. So it's for ages 11 and above. And it plays in about, according to the box, 15 minutes. I think when we've played it, it's played a little bit longer. It takes us a little longer to come up with the clues for your partner to be able to guess. But it is a relatively short game. It normally plays in under half an hour.
Yeah, if you were sitting down for like an hour game session, you can easily get a couple of plays in. Now, just to explain Codenames for people that are maybe more Harry Potter fans, don't know the game, what you're going to be doing is each of you, or in this case, because this is duet, so it differs a little bit from regular Codenames, you have a nice grid, and you're trying to get your partner to guess based on a one-word clue to discover the agents of the Order of the Phoenix. So, for example, what you're going to be doing is you will say wand 2, meaning there are 2 things associated with wands. And so it's really a word association game. Now we will teach you a lot more about how to play in the video, but just for those of you that see Harry Potter, click on it. Just want to let you know what you're getting into. Now, I think it's time for us to do something with the game.
I'm going to take it to the table.
Yeah, so let's do that. So we're going to grab our drinks, grab our best friend. Let's get it to the table.
Now, for this, we kind of have to align. You got to try to get your warped brain more in line with mine, because I can't make my brain become warped like yours.
Yes, however, my brain is warped and far more creative, which is why I can see like 4 or 5 with one word, and you're like 1.
That's not fair. I get 2s very well, and you get them.
I don't know. That last time it didn't go so well.
Yeah, I got you to guess more than you got me to guess. We'll see.
Now let's take a look at the components that we get in Harry Potter Codenames. Now, unlike what I usually do, I actually have all of the components out here because there aren't a lot of them in terms of different types of things, but as you can see, there are a lot of different cards. So let's take a quick look at what they are. Now here we have the code cards, and I've just sort of stacked them into 2 piles. Now they are double-sided, as you can see right here. So very simple and straightforward. You've got your code cards that can either be images or words, as you can see right here, and there are a lot of them. That means there's going to be a lot of replayability, a lot of different combinations, and you'll see just how that's going to work when we get into the setup. Now here we have the key cards, which are also double-sided. You can also rotate them in different directions because that way you're going to have a lot of different combinations, meaning that you've got just a ton of replayability in this box. As you can see, this is the nice big stack of key cards here, and we've got a nice little stand for the card. Now the only thing I don't like, it does mark up the cards a little bit, but what are you going to do? Now let's take a look at the other components, the people that you are trying to find the Order of Phoenix. So here we've got the 15 Order of Phoenix members. Now during each mission we have to locate them without stumbling upon a Death Eater. Death Eater locations you can see right here are marked in black. If you happen to stumble upon a Death Eater, you will lose the game. Now these are also double-sided. It's just really up to you. There is no real difference in terms of what side you put up. So we've covered the people we're trying to find. We got to save the Order of Phoenix from the Death Eaters to protect the Wizarding World from the evil Lord Voldemort, or he who shall not be named. Now let's take a look at one of our last 3 components, the Time Turners. So here are the Time Turner tokens, and you'll notice that some of them are marked up with Ministry officials. Now when you happen to make a mistake, these get placed on the code cards. with the arrow pointing in the direction of the player or the team that made a mistake. And these are really like your timer. And then depending on the missions, we'll talk about that. The more of these you have on your code cards, you can fail. These regular orange, not orange, I guess we can call it orange, reddish orange time turner tokens are your standard time limit. So you've got a total really of 10 turns, 5 per team, to resolve the mission. Now these two are extra, and they are essentially kept in the box. They're also double-sided, as you can see, until you decide to use them if you're having trouble. So there are the time turner tokens. We're going to look at the last two components now all together, which is going to be the rulebook and the mission log. Now the rulebook we have right here for Harry Potter Codenames. I'm just going to slide it out so you can see. It is definitely very straightforward. Nice overview of the setup and all the cards. There really is not a cheat sheet on the back for Codenames, so you will not be needing it. And here is the mission log. I don't want to do too much time on this. These just give you different challenges. So the idea is you're going to start here in London, and what it means by 10 of 10 means you need to save all the members of the Order of the Phoenix within 10 turns. Now, and the 10 here means you can make up to 10 mistakes, meaning you have up to 10 ministry members out on the codename cards. Now, if you look at Privet Drive, it is 10-5, meaning you've got 10 turns, but only 5 ministry members can show up on these cards, meaning you're going to make 5 mistakes. The Burrow, 9-5. 12 Grimwald Place, I believe that's Sirius Black's home, is 8 turns and also 5 mistakes. And as you see, all of these different missions are more difficult, and they're just a fun way to add some more replayability into Codenames. Now, we're going to leave it right here. I'm going to get into the setup of the game. So keep it right here, and we're going to race across the city to show you the setup as fast as Harry Potter on his Firebolt. Now let's set up Harry Potter Codenames. So we have the 10 time turner tokens that we need. I've left the other 2 in the box. We have our Death Eater token and the 15 Order of Phoenix tokens, and you can't quite see it yet. Right behind there is the stand. Now what we're going to need is to take some of these code cards. But the first thing we'll start off with is the key cards. Now you can just pick one, or as the game says, shuffle them together. It's kind of a giant stack of cards. And then you're just going to, randomly pick one. However you do it, it's very simple. You do not need the rest of these. I'm just going to take them off camera. And we'll grab the key stand. You will then set up the card in the stand so that each player will be seeing a different side of it. Now, I'm just going to put this over here actually we'll put it right here for the moment. And we'll now set up the code cards. Now you need to set up 25 of them. So 5 rows of 5. So here we go, and I'll just spread these out a little bit more. So there is 1 row, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm actually running out of room here, so let me just slide these up as we make sure to keep everything on camera. And we do out the last row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we've got our play space all set up. We're not going to be needing the rest of these for the game. And that's really how you set up the game. It's nice, easy, straightforward. What I'm going to do is just move some stuff around, and we're going to come back and teach you guys how to play. So keep it right here. We're going to be flying at you as fast as we can, maybe even faster than the night bus. Now we're going to teach you how to play Harry Potter Codenames. Now, this is a word association game, and what you're going to be doing is you will say one word. It cannot be like Hogwarts Castle, for example. It has to be one word, so Hogwarts could be a clue. Now, that doesn't really work because we've got Hogwarts Castle and Hogsmeade. You can say that, but they cannot be referencing the word itself. So, for example, you can't say Hogwarts to get Hogwarts Castle. Doesn't work. Now, for example, also here with the Goblet of Fire, you cannot say fire to reference the Goblet of Fire. It has to be something that is not in the word itself. Now, the way we're going to make these associations is by saying one word and then a number. So, just to give you an example, we got werewolf and fluffy. So let's say those were examples that we're going for. We could say dog 2. Now that is a loose association, but based on what you've got on the board, that could work out pretty well. You could use, for example, the films. If we've got the Whomping Willow here and the every flavor beans that were seen in the start of The Prisoner of Azkaban, you could say third or 2 or Azkaban 2 to hint at those things. Now you want to be careful though. The reason why I use that example is we also have auras right here, and people may associate auras with Azkaban. So you want to know your team, know the people you're playing with, because it's very easy to make mistakes. So we've kind of gone over exactly how you play. Now we'll talk about how you're actually going to win and how you're going to lose the game, and exactly what we use the time turner tokens for. Now, you get your key card, and it's got 9 different Order of Phoenix member locations on each side and 3 Death Eater locations on each side. Now, some of these locations are doubled up, such as Rita Skeeter, and when we take a look at it, the Goblet of Fire. Now, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? So, for example, I like using this side as Team 1 just because I've got it up right now. So we want someone to identify the Goblet of Fire and Rita Skeeter. We can use an example. We can say 4th 2. Now referencing the 4th movie. Now that can be very dangerous, however, because we've got the maze, which was in the 4th movie, which could lead them to selecting the Death Eater. But let's say, for example, we say 4th 2. It goes over well. The other team then selects one by one, because if you make a mistake, you then end your turn. Selects Rita Skeeter and the Goblet of Fire. It will then go to the other team's turn, but before that we have the opportunity to take a random guess. Now at the start of the game that's very difficult because we don't have any background clues. We have no idea what may or may not be a Death Eater. And what I mean by background clues, I mean clues that we missed. In this case, what usually happens is you take the time turner token, you put it in front of your team, symbolizing that one turn is gone, and then it will be the second team's turn. So if we're looking at the second team, they need us to find Hogwarts Castle, Hogsmeade, the Stag. We need the Twins, Madame Rosmerta, Nocturne Alley, the Whomping Willow, and we already got Rita Skeeter and the Goblet of Fire off the board, so things aren't looking too bad. Now you can make a really safe play if you'd like to. So one thing you could say is, for example, Beer 1, trying to reference, the tavern in Hogsmeade Village. Now you go ahead and do that. The team successfully gets it. Well, there you go. You would then take an Order of Phoenix token and place it over the card. Now, one of the problems of doing something generic, like let's say Beer 1, maybe they associate beer with Nocturne Alley for whatever reason. So I'm just going to put this down. Now, if the other team selected Nocturne Alley, you would then take a time turner token. You then place the Ministry guy facing the direction of the team that made the incorrect selection. Now, when you saw the mission log, these were the amount of mistakes that you can make, as I discussed with the components. So in certain missions, if you get 5 of these out, you would then lose the mission. Now, we offered the clue of beer. It didn't go over well. We'll flip this over. We are now back at Team 1's turn. Now we may want to do something simple. We might want to try to get, like score some big points. And just to point out, as you can see, Nocturnally is something that you actually want to get with the other player. So be careful of these tokens. Don't think that they're discounted just because you potentially got them wrong, depending on what team you're on. Now we want to make something simple because I just want to give like one more description. So we'll say Trelawney won, referencing the girl that gave the prophecy. The other team gets it. Now that's not necessarily maybe the best play, but they get it. It's fine. We take another time turner token, and it'd be once again their turn. Now, what's going on here? So we gave them the clue of beer. Now we are not allowed to remind them of that clue that we gave them. But if they remember it, they can actually guess backwards. But let's see, we'd like them to get Hogwarts Castle, Hogsmeade Village, again the stag. Now just because I want to give a quick example, we'll say Patronus 1, works out well. They guess the stag. It's good. Now they're taking a look around because they know they missed one and they want to catch up. So they figure out that beer meant Hogsmeade Village. They would then get Hogsmeade Village. And they could then decide to end their turn, taking the time turner token. And it would then once again be the next player's turn. Now let's say, for example, I'm trying to get them to figure out, let's see, I want to say twins, Dumble. So we got twins, Fluffy, and Maze. But I also want them to get Whomping Willow. So let's say I give out the every flavor beans. So I'm going to give out the clue of Azkaban 2. Our players make a mistake. They pick Fluffy. It's the Death Eater. Then the Death Eater comes out, and that's the end of the game. And then you just basically clear out the board. You can then, I'm going to put this down here. You can then grab some more of your nice cards, shuffle them up, grab a new key card, and go again. So as you can see, it's very simple, straightforward, easy to play. So we're going to cut right here. We're going to come back with our review of the game. So Codenames Harry Potter. Even though this isn't our first time playing Codenames, what do you think of this version of the game?
Well, I thought it was interesting that it has, so this version has words on one side and the equivalent image on the back. So we've played both versions, and
we also played, just so people know, we played Marvel and Disney, which are very similar to Harry Potter.
Don't play Disney with him. It's not good. I think I'd have a better chance with, an 11-year-old girl. Jason does not know his Disney.
I do not know my Disney films, just like she doesn't know her Marvel stuff because it's not the MCU, it's Marvel Comics.
Yeah, I was like, who's that? What?
Thank you. Let's get back to this.
So
game.
Harry Potter. So you have to really know your movies in this case. I mean, I've watched them all several times. Probably didn't pay attention, and I've read the books as well. Probably didn't pay as much attention to details as you might have. There were some things that I had to look at the words on the back to remember what they were. So what I'll say is, depending on people's strengths and what they've seen of it, I personally think that the words are easier than the images because the images can be interpreted as several things. Now that might help with people's clues, but what we discovered playing it is that we didn't necessarily picture the same thing. I mean, some of them are clear, some of them could be many things. I'm like, that's not what that is, but that's what you saw. So for that, I thought it was still interesting and challenging.
Well, you kind of did forget that, Scabbers and Peter Pettigrew are the same person. So
I didn't. You just saw it differently. In any case, the point being, when you're looking at the image, it might be easier for some people who don't know Harry Potter as much, or it could be more complicated. So I think this is definitely for somebody, if you're interested in Codenames, but you're not a huge fan of Harry Potter, this probably isn't for you. This I think is really for big Harry Potter fans because you're going to get you're not going to get the full effect of Codenames if you don't know it well enough. If you were a passive watcher of the movies, you're probably not going to get as much out of it.
I got to disagree with you on that, actually, because I'll say this. I agree with you, it's for fans, but you don't need to be a hardcore Harry Potter fan to play the game. You need, if you like the movies, if you're observant or just good at word association games, like that's the type of thing that you enjoy, you'll be fine with this version of the game. And in one case, what you can do is you can also use the images and the words, something that is unique to any of the versions of Codenames that are images and words. I think it's pretty cool. But I do agree with her. If you just saw the movies once, maybe twice, or if you're a parent whose kids love Harry Potter and it's not for you, don't even bother. This is not the Codenames for you. Now, where I think this Codenames is actually superior to Marvel and Disney is in the fact that because it focuses primarily on the 8 films, it seems to be a lot easier for fans of the series to convey ideas. I think with just how many Disney films there are, like you had a fair bit of difficulty with even some other people that thought they knew their Disney, and with me and some other people that knew Marvel, it gets very difficult sometimes when you're like, hey, what about this? But they see it differently. Like, I think I said like Eternals 1, and someone's like, well, Thanos is related to an Eternal, and that got us to lose the game, which is actually true, but there were 4 actual Eternals on the board. So that's a type of problem that you do not get like in this version of the game, because there just isn't that much content, I would say. And the one thing I think we didn't highlight, either of us yet, is this is not for fans of the book. This game is purely based on the Harry Potter movies. And that's because I think USAopoly only's got the movie license. We're wearing some Harry Potter related shirts they're actually going to be doing, or I've actually already completed, just hasn't shipped yet, the new Fantastic Beasts game.
Actually, I was going to say, I think if you're a big Harry Potter fan and didn't see the movies, I'd be surprised. However, I think if you're going to look at the word version of it, I think everything that's in this with the words are also in the books. So I think you could still play. It's just that you're going to lose out on half of the version, like not being able to necessarily use the images if you haven't seen the movie. I just don't think there are probably not many Harry Potter big fans out there that just read the books. They probably at least saw a few movies.
No, I do see your point on that. I'm just saying that I find that it's based more on the movies, like the scenes, what's picked is definitely all movie content. So anything that was in the books, is not in there. If it was just in the books, cut from a movie, it is not in this game. I just wanted to stress that because there are some book fans that, don't like the movies. But I think we've covered it enough. Mm-hmm. I do enjoy the fact that this is a cooperative version of the game. And one of the really cool things about Codenames, I know I talked about it a little bit in the intro for those of you that, wanted to hear our thoughts on the game because, Codenames. I do want to stress that for other people as well, this can be played competitive and cooperative. Now, you cannot use the rules in this box to play competitively. And you'll need a timer, but if you have any other version of Codenames, you can take these cards and slap them in with, another scenario, another set of rules. You can even mix them all together if you so choose, but I'm not sure how well that will work, so I'll let Julie give her score for the game.
So I'm going to give it a solid 7.5. I am a Harry Potter fan, but there is some obscure stuff here, and I didn't necessarily know them. There's a couple times we played that you may not have seen that I pulled out some things that I didn't know and put them aside onto this card pile.
That I did not notice. But
it's a solid 7.5. I mean, we've played a couple different versions of Codenames. You probably can't see them right now because they're in the bottom version of our shelves, but I think there's a pile about this high of different versions of Codenames. So I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed the fact that it's Harry Potter. It's something that's become a thing with us, and maybe we'll talk about it someday. We had the opportunity during our honeymoon to go see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and so this is something interesting for us. So for that, I did enjoy it. I also enjoyed the fact that there's an element we didn't actually talk about that looks like it's something that could make the game last even longer, is that extra quest.
Yes, the mission log. So yeah, so the mission log, basically, just before we forget about it, the mission log is basically, I like to call it challenge mode. It just gives you like harder versions of the game where you have less chances, less lives, and when I say less chances to make mistakes. So I'm going to agree with Julie. This game is a solid 7.5. It is a fun retheme of the original Codenames duet. I do very much enjoy the images that they've picked. I like also just some of the art. Like, they really try to make it look like Harry Potter, something that I didn't feel necessarily as much with Disney and with Marvel, in terms of, like, you know, just like the little extra touches of the script and on the cards. Yeah. Not that there's much to do, but even the mission log, they really go for that Wizarding World feel. So, solid game. If you like Codenames Duet, you want a little bit more Codenames Duet, well, this is a good choice. And if you're a Harry Potter fan looking for a new cooperative game and you like word association games, I wouldn't snooze on this one.
It's a good opportunity. I enjoyed it. So
with that being said, we're going to grab our drinks, grab our best friend, and
take it to the table. Keep playing games.
Yes, we're going to keep playing games on this very table.
That's what happens. It always throws me for a loop.
That's what happens when you're drinking.
We don't condone drinking, kids.